Today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be introducing our keynote. We will have a presentation by Sylvester Rembert of Legacy Career Planning, and then we will have a panel discussion led by Jessica Cordero with representatives from two New York private universities, Hofstra University and Molloy College, both of them on Long Island. Sylvester Rembert is an experienced college and career access and success expert with a social justice lens. He is a NACAC 2020 recipient, and that's the National Association for College Admission Counseling. And he was the recipient of the Inclusion, Access, and Success Award. This distinction honors individuals who are instrumental in making post-secondary opportunities, education opportunities available to underrepresented students. An amazing legacy to have for legacy career planning, quite honestly. Having spent his formative years in extreme poverty, living in the foster care system, Sly knows the adversities many of his students face all too well. For over a decade, he has been a leader on issues of equity, access, and success in post-secondary education, and a relentless champion of first-generation college students and students from low-income backgrounds. With that, Sly, I'm going to turn the program over to you.
Thanks so much, Marsha, for that very generous introduction. I always want to start every workshop with just gratitude. I want to give thanks to everybody here who's really just willing to hear me speak. Just to get into it, I want to just preface this by saying I'm one who recognizes that I can't do it all by myself, so I was able to bring a little guest today. Some of you may know our guest. He's actually the most nominated Oscar, well, he's nominated the most for any Black actor for Oscars. Mr. Denzel Washington is going to help me today with our message. And so really what I want to do is I'm going to open up with starting with Uncle Zelly, and I want to just sort of ground some of his messaging. I know today's question is why college? I'm here to say why not? My college degree awarded me everything that I have today. And I'm so grateful for that. So give me a minute, I'm gonna share my screen.
I found that nothing in life is
perfect.
Okay, before we get into it again, segmented, I'm gonna stop the video at each section, do a little grounding, and then I'll let Denzel continue to take us away. Thank you for your time. And
worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Without consistency, you'll never finish. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams.
I'll pause there for us. Love the opening. I want to just lift up Denzel's statements around goals and dreams, right? College. One of the biggest lessons I learned in college going to Syracuse University was the ability to really set goals. And I learned that before I got to CUSE, but more so when I got there and I established myself as a student, learning the importance of setting goals. But like Uncle Zelly said, right, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So not only did I learn, right, how to set goals, but I learned in college how to plan, how to set a goal, how to set a dream for myself, and then make sure that I ordered my steps by writing it down, and then of course executing it. So again, goal setting is going to be critically important for your futures, but most importantly, that executed plan is going to be critically important. And there's no place like college that forces you to set goals and execute. Let's get back into it.
Reggie.
Hey, I'm Russ Ruffino, and if you're a coach, consultant, expert, author, or speaker, I have just one question for you.
Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought, except for the fact that I can't sing. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. But it didn't matter, because you know what? There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're gonna get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. So imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset.
powerful segment. I think the words that really resonate for me, right, is to do, right? To accomplish, you have to do something you've never done. And doing things that we've never done. I think about coming from Harlem and going to Cuse. Very frightening. But failure, it's usually what deters most people from success and really glory. So our second message today is, how do we face failure? And Zelly does an incredible job at telling us how. You simply, right, you face failure and you acknowledge and accept that you will fail, which I believe is so liberating. And once you accept that fate, then I like to say what you do is you fail gracefully. And I want to just, I know you guys have heard about my bio, and the bio unfortunately shows all my wins. But Lord, if you saw my losses. But I recognize that you have to lose to gain. And remember that. You got to lose to gain, and losing, they call it failing, but it's not really failing. You learn. Let's get into it.
They say we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes? I just got back from South Africa. It's a beautiful country, but there are places there with terrible poverty that need help. And Africa is just the tip of the iceberg. The Middle East needs your help. Japan needs your help. Alabama needs your help. Tennessee needs your help. Louisiana needs your help. Philadelphia needs your help. The world needs a lot, and we need it from you. We really do. We need it from you young people. I mean, I'm not speaking for the rest of us up here, but I know I'm getting a little grayer. We need it from you, the young people, because remember this. You got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors, some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money, some of you have patience, some of you have kindness, some of you have love, some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it, I couldn't say it, I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. I was a 1.8 GPA. The university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975,
I'm gonna stop there. I went a little over, but by far the most powerful segment. And here, I think, is where he really, right, Zelly tells us about the importance of recognizing your gifts, recognizing your talents. And that's truly how you make a meaning of your life. The meaning of life is discovering your gifts and your talents. What do you bring? What do you bring to the world? But unfortunately, a lot of people, right, we have our gifts, we have our talents, and we want to keep them to ourselves. But there are people in the world, and hopefully you are these type of people, right, that really want to give those gifts and those talents away. And that, my friends, is called purpose. And purpose is going to take you wherever you need to go. And that's what college does for you. It allows you to discover what your gifts and talents are. I'm so fortunate for my experience in Syracuse because I did so much. And those L's, right, that I mentioned that I did take from time to time, they paled in comparison to the wins because I was literally just living. And the experiences were shaping me into who I needed to become for this very moment. So move forward in your journey towards college, hopefully with encouragement that your best days are in front of you and that those experiences in college are going to shape you. When I look back on college, actually, and I know we sometimes think about the institution of college as just four walls, so much of my key learnings happened outside those four walls. It was my connections, the people that I met, the lifelong friendships that I've made as a result of going to CUSE. And I think most importantly, just grounding yourself, right? And just knowing that when you leave there, it's your time to go give those gifts away. And that was really how I sort of approached life. I'll be quiet now and let Denzel take us home the rest of the way. Thanks for listening.
I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but
You want customers from ads much
Commercial
cheaper and to
break.
scale
Sorry,
much
guys.
further? Our software Hyros will do that for you, or you don't pay for it. No, seriously, if you
But I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people through my movies. Millions who up till this day couldn't see me, who up till this day I couldn't see while I was talking to them, and they couldn't see me, they could only see the movie. They couldn't see the real me. But I see you today, and I'm encouraged by what I see. And I'm strengthened by what I see. Because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas. The chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, remember this: fall forward.
I'll stop sharing my screen and just come on camera for you. That, my friends, is called legacy. Sorry, one second. Legacy. That premonition that lady has as she looks in Denzel's eyes is critically important for him after facing failure. And it empowered him and encouraged him. I talked about my village and my community earlier because, again, without them, I'm nobody. And so at Syracuse, I met an incredible amount of people who simply, right, believed in me, loved me. But again, as I shared earlier with Ms. Iverson, didn't take any of my nonsense. And I think as you think about your village and your community, the people that are encouraging you the most right now are the most important people in your life. The people who believe in you the most are the most important people in your life. And the people who are holding you accountable, critically important, because sometimes we don't want to be held accountable, and we have to be held accountable to get better. Legacy. What's lasting about Denzel's speech is this: I see the vision of, right, being on my deathbed, actually. And I know we don't really like talking about death because it's so morbid and scary, but death brings you closer to life. I lost the very man that made me into who I am a couple months ago. And as I delivered his eulogy in July, I just got this feeling like it was my responsibility to make sure that the sacrifices that he made for me weren't in vain. And that's why I created Legacy. And I have to admit, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad my stepfather actually during the winter of his life. And just so you guys know, my biological father was actually murdered in Harlem. So this man came to me like a guardian angel and shaped me into who I needed to be for this moment. And the first thing I went to his casket, I said, "Job well done and thank you, I understand." So Legacy is an ode to him, the gratitude that I have for him. But most importantly, I want to give what he gave me to everybody else. Legacy is about what you leave behind. So as you embark on your future, go to college, because it's going to give you the tools that you need to go anywhere. It's about what you leave behind. So that's my time, I think. Go get everything they said we couldn't have by any means necessary. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Sly, so much for sharing your story, helping to ground this conversation. Today's girl, tomorrow's woman is so appreciative of you spending this time with us and sharing this information. If anyone has any questions for Sly, please add them to the chat. I would like to kick us off though, because I actually have a couple of questions that kind of came to mind as you were sharing Denzel Washington's commencement speech, and then sharing a little bit about your journey and your story. So you talked a little bit just now about your father and his role and having to say goodbye and establishing your company, Legacy Career Planning. Who are the people who helped you realize your goal, especially in that pivotal time as you transition from high school to college? Who were the people, or who was the person that said, okay, you got to take these steps and hold space for you?
Tara, I don't know if you're a hooper, but I was hoping I got the opportunity to continue to pay it forward or pay homage. The Liberty Lease program at the Bank Street College of Education was another support system that I had in high school. I was fortunate enough to be flagged or to be recruited to a program that really shaped students for admission to selective colleges and universities. And it was that cast of people at that program: Richard Rivera, Maxine Roberts, Angela Conley, and Ani Debussy. The list goes on. I wish I had enough time. But they believed in me again. They challenged me. They encouraged me. And I was ready. I was ready for Syracuse and anything that was put in front of me because of them.
Wow, thank you so much. And we know how important those community programs are to really uplift and to really build into the idea of it takes a village, as you talked about in your presentation, and the fact that it takes several people, and opening your heart, opening of your space, and being able to allow people in allows for them to be able to share their story and help you shape yours. One last question that I have, and then we'll transition into our panel discussion, and that is, you talked about taking that L, and it's a hard thing to do. We know that you getting here and being here today, we know that there were a lot of twists and turns to be able to make that happen. So can you give us, what is an example of a thing that you experienced where you had to fail forward or fall forward, especially during those high school to college time?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm sorry, that's actually my mom calling me, sorry. For me, I actually got to Syracuse my first year and failed calculus. I had been a top student at Rice. I finished top 3 in my class, and I had never really failed anything up to that point. And it's not because I'm like smart or anything. I just worked really hard. I worked really hard for everything I got. And I got to Syracuse, and it was new. It was a different echelon of work. But then I realized, as I tell my students today, that every phase, every stage prepares you for the next. So when I got to Syracuse, I met that challenge. I fell forward, I fell into the L, and I took the course again, and I changed my habits. I went to class on Fridays instead of sleeping in, right? I went to the TA, the teaching assistant, and I asked questions. I made sure I sat at the front of the class. When I didn't understand, I asked my neighbor, and I wasn't gonna fail. That was it. That, like, my mentality was, I can't. This is not me. I remember how much the L hurt. That L and my family, the sacrifices that they made for me to get there. I'm like, I didn't come here for this. I was angry, actually. And so I just poured in to really, really focusing on studying and being a better student. And when I looked up, I was being asked to be a teaching assistant. So I came back the following year and was a teaching assistant for young people who were struggling like myself the year before. And it was the most rewarding experience. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, because I instantly thought about my experiences and those times where I had to take the L or had to fail forward. And I think that there were several big things that kind of came out of what you just shared. One is that, we have most individuals, especially those that are graduating high school, have a less than 90 days to transition their mindset around the high school experience. We go to school 5 days a week. We have this type of schedule. And the fact that most of us did not have to pay for those courses that we were taking. But when you got that you failed calculus, you paid thousands of dollars for that one calculus course that you now got to take over and pay another thousands of dollars.
Tara, if I could just interject really quickly. The other thing, I have a friend who also, not only did he do right, we always talk about dollars and cents and economics. How about this? My village, right? I'm so grateful for my friends. He did the math for me. He noticed I had been like skipping classes. He was like, listen, this is how much it costs every time you skip class. And it just crystallized, right, for me, what I was doing. You got to be thankful for your village.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again, Sly. We greatly appreciate it. We're going to turn it over now to this amazing panel that we've gathered together. Jessica Cordero is going to be our moderator for this panel. And we have Bryan and Pamela from Molloy and Bryan from Hofstra. So we turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to kick off our panel discussion with the first question. Tell us a little bit about your school and what makes your institution unique.
Pam, I'll let you go first because my mom would strike my hand if I didn't let someone else go first. So there you go, all yours.
Why, thank you. Why, thank you. So I'm Pamela. I'm from Molloy College. Molloy is a private Catholic liberal arts college in Rockville Center, Long Island. We are a smaller college, so our class sizes are smaller. That's one of the things that makes us pretty unique, is our student to faculty ratio being 10-to-1. So there's going to be lots of hands-on, one-on-one attention in the classrooms with your professors through advisement, people really knowing you, what your goals are, and what it is you want to achieve and how to help you get there. There's a lot of hands-on deck here at Molloy. We have over 60 programs, so we definitely have something for everyone. And a lot of times people think of Molloy as just a nursing school, and that is not correct. We have a million programs at Molloy, so we definitely have something for everybody. And we encourage you to come learn more about it.
Awesome. Hello again, everyone. My name is Bryan Rothstein. I am Senior Associate Dean of Admission here at Hofstra. I've been in the field here for about 11 years, working with students primarily coming from the 5 boroughs, so Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island high schools for the most part, and then other students from other areas, as well as our transfer student population. So students from all over, and been doing this for many years, always working with students coming from at least some of the 5 boroughs, if not all of them. program. A little bit about Hofstra. Hofstra too is a private institution. We are not a religious-based institution. We are a liberal arts-based institution with over 165 different majors. We are located only about 10 minutes from Molloy, but nice and close by. It is 45 minutes from Midtown Manhattan, 25 miles east of New York City. So you get the hustle bustle of New York, but you don't get the hustle bustle of the train going by every 15 minutes. Our campus size, we're on 244 acres of our large campus size. Although a large campus size, it's a small campus feel. On average, it's 21 students in a class, and it is a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So you're getting a lot of personalized attention here at Hofstra. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is that your professors will know your name, your faculty and staff will know your name, folks will know who you are. And that helps a lot with internships, opportunities inside the classroom, opportunities outside the classroom, opportunities beyond the walls of Hofstra as well. Within those 165 different majors, some of our popular ones that we see many students applying to, nursing, which is outstanding. It's joint with Northwell Health Systems. We are the only college university joint with Northwell Health Systems. If you're not familiar, Northwell Health, one of the largest health systems in the state of New York and one of the largest in the nation. We're the only college university partnered with them. So we have a nursing school, we have a medical school, we have a PA or physician's assistant program. In addition to that, many of our programs do also offer bachelor's, master's, 5-year programs, and that includes education, engineering, business. Our School of Communications offers some of those as well. Our School of Comm, top-notch School of Communication in the world. We actually have the largest TV studio outside of HBO down in Hudson Yards on the East Coast. Super, super awesome opportunities. And also the only college university in the nation that has a radio station that broadcasts on behalf of the professional sports team. So that's a pretty awesome opportunity as well. For those of you who are thinking again about anything in regards to theater, dance, music, art, we have a lot of those as well, with 9 different theaters scattered across our campus community. So those are just some of our important and popular majors, as well as psychology and so many others. But that's kind of the crux of Hofstra in a nutshell.
Thank you for that, Pamela and Bryan. Let's talk dollars. So you both represent private institutions to have a heftier sticker price than public schools. What can you tell our listeners about the overall affordability to attend your school?
Sure, I'm sure Bryan and I are going to speak to similar points on this, but the biggest thing to remember is it is a sticker price. So that price can shock people. It could seem like a very big number, but it's important to remember that's before any type of scholarship, whether that be merit-based, based off of your academics and what you're doing in high school, but also there's scholarship opportunities for what you're doing outside of the classroom, things like community service, if you play an instrument, all types of things you can get scholarships for outside of the classroom, as well as if you are a strong student inside the classroom as well. And then there also is financial aid. There are, if you do play an instrument, if you're coming for a music program or a talent-based program, if you're playing a sport, all of those scholarships kick in as well. And then comes in the financial aid. So it is, it is overwhelming sometimes to see the numbers overall. But it's just important to remember that they can break down. At Molloy, we do offer scholarship stacking. So there's no limit on the scholarship that you can get. So if you're getting an academic scholarship of $25,000, it doesn't mean that we're not going to give you community service scholarship because you already got so much here. If you're eligible for the scholarship, you apply, you can get that money. Molloy is around $32,000 per year. So it is one of the most affordable private school tuitions on Long Island, just to start with. But again, then those scholarships and financial aid and all of the different opportunities definitely takes down the cost as well.
Absolutely. Pamela shared some great information, and similar to as she had mentioned, I was going to share some similar pieces as well. Here at Hofstra, many of our scholarships are merit-based. They're based off of academic performance coming out of high school. That's your GPA, your trending grades, what you've taken in comparison to what's offered at your school. So by that, I mean, did your school offer X number of college preparatory AP IB level courses and you've taken X number? that's taken into consideration in addition to the trending grade. So what that means is, did you start off high school really strong and you're still doing really well? Did you start off high school not so strong and now you're doing well, or vice versa? So all of that's taken into consideration within regards to admission, but also in regards to any sort of merit-based aid. Similar to what Pamela had said, we also do stack scholarships. So if you do receive anything merit-based, you may also receive a talent-based award. You may receive a athletic-based award. You may receive a legacy scholarship. So all of those can stack on top of each other. In addition to that as well, when filing your FAFSA form, we will also provide very often to students some institutional-based grants, and that will also stack on top of that. Just for a little bit of background on Hofstra, 97% of our students within last year did receive some form of financial assistance from us. That was free gift award aid. Last year, we offered out about $47 million in scholarship, and if you include all students at Hofstra, it was about $127 million. So a lot of money out there, and an average package per student last year was just shy of $27,000. So again, private school, as mentioned, so it is a little bit of a heftier price tag. The price tag here at Hofstra, about $50,000 before any sort of scholarship or financial aid, and excluding residing on campus. So it's a pretty hefty price tag, but we really do make it as affordable as we possibly can for our students. We also encourage students to look at external scholarships. So really, really important to do that and do some research. Some good examples of that: fastweb.com. I'm sure many of you have heard about that from your school counselors or outside of school as well. That's FASTWEB.com. I'll tell you a quick story as we're talking through some affordability concerns and questions. I am a New York City public school grad. I am a first generation college student as well. When I went off to college, my parents didn't know much about it, didn't know what to talk about. I'm also an only child, so I was the first and last one. So I was kind of every box you could check off on that college search process, I probably checked off every box. So it was really new to me. I also did not have very much college advisement at school, so it was a really big navigating myself. Someone had recommended fastweb.com, and what I had done was went on and applied to everything that I thought made sense for me to apply to, and I received many of those scholarships. I actually went to college with just shy of $5,000 in scholarships external from the institution that I went to. And one of them, which is my favorite, and I laugh because every year someone remembers this story. They don't remember me, but they remember the story. My favorite scholarship I won was a essay writing for why the dancing bears in the Charmin toilet paper commercial. If you've ever seen that commercial where the bears dance around, I had to write why it was an innovative marketing tool for them to sell toilet paper. It was 1,000 words, and they mailed a $1,000 check to my house. So I don't know about any of you around the room, but for 1,000 words, I would write that every day for someone to mail a $1,000 check to my house. But that $1,000 went a long way. That covered a big chunk of my meal plan when I got to my first semester, my first year, freshman year. And then after that, I continued to apply to scholarships, and I kept receiving other additional aid that really help offset the cost overall. So really important to think about the institution you're going to and what they can offer you, but also looking at other external places. I also encourage students to also look through their family's companies, organizations, and stuff. Again, prime example of myself, my dad is an MTA employee. The MTA gives scholarships to dependents of employees. I won an MTA employee scholarship and got to walk into this big fancy party that they were super excited about. And they also handed me one of those big fancy checks. Wasn't even that much money, but it was really exciting to win a check of $1,500 and walk away with a big check with my name on it. So you never know where that additional funding comes from. And I always tell students, $1,000 is $1,000 less that you have to worry about, that your family has to worry about, or that you have to find to help do that. So really, really important. And thanks, Tara, for popping some of the great options for scholarships in the chat as well. Really important to think about all the different places you interact with, all the different communities you're part of, and what kind of funding they'll help offer out as well. Sorry, Jessica.
No, thank you so much. That makes so much sense. Let's pivot to a question in regards to student.
Can't hear you anymore, Jessica.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry. Are there any programs or support programs for students to apply to or are eligible for to optimize success as a college student, especially since there's such a huge transition from high school to college?
Sure, definitely. I know at Molloy we have Of course, we have support services for students if they have any academic need for them. Of course, we have all of those options. If you're a student now who gets any type of accommodation in high school, you can definitely continue that accommodation here at Molloy, whether it be a separate testing room, extra testing time. So that support is there. We also have free mental health counseling at Molloy as well, unlimited amount of sessions for students. So if there's that area that you need help with in transitioning or at any time during your process as a student at Molloy, that's also available to you. And then we do have tons of tutoring services, advisement, and we also have a couple different offices like our Student Solution Center, where really it is a one-stop shop. You go in there and it's whatever you don't know. If anything, you have a question about anything, where is this building? Where is this? I don't understand this on my bill. Anybody can get to you from that area, and we can get you in the right spot, help you out, and get you all the information that you need. So we have tons of support here at Molloy, whether it be academically, mentally, physically, health-wise. We have a lot to help our students with and to make sure that you're getting the most out of this experience. We want you to be happy, we want you to be healthy, and we want you to succeed. And that means being successful in all areas of your life, not just academic. So we want to make sure we're taking care of the full person, not just the student side. So we'll make sure we take care of that for you.
Thanks, Pamela. So definitely a lot of support opportunities here at Hofstra. I'm going to kind of segment a little bit about them. Some very similar to what Molloy has to offer as well. So we have a student access office, which offers extended time on exams. If you have an IEP, that's who you work with for those additional support pieces. They're also there if you break your arm and you need someone to take notes. That's the office that you work with that for all of those different support services. For mental health counseling, a multitude of options and opportunities for mental health counseling. We want you in strong mind, body, and spirit, but we also want you to be mentally prepared and mentally ready as you transition into college. We also have our FYC, our first year student opportunities as well, where we assist students in finding the right fit for them in regards to majors and classes and all sorts of different pieces like that as well. So that's really important. We also are really supportive to our first generation college students. We actually are an award-winning institution for first generation college student support. Not only are we award winning, but we actually have our first generation college student committee actually is teaching institutions around the nation about how we support first generation students. So we're really offering that support opportunities as well. We also have our Center for Academic Excellence. They are kind of similar to what Pamela had said, that one-stop shop. They're there to help you, making sure that you're academically successful, connecting you with whoever our campus partner might be that you would need to speak with, whether it be the registrar's office or the financial aid office or your academic advisor or your faculty advisor. So a lot of different places, career development. We'll talk about career development in a second. So all these different kind of buckets from there, they offer tutoring services, a writing center, a math center. There's tutoring for every class that you would take here at Hofstra, whether it be a graduate student or an upperclassman that has taken the course and gotten at least A- or higher in the courses as well. So really supportive community to make sure, again, you're academically successful as you transition into our community here at Hofstra. Our career development office, our Center for Career Development and Design, kind of silly name, but we call it C2D2, so you won't forget it, kind of like Star Wars. They're there to help you with career development. So whether that be writing your resume, setting up for your first internship, finding your first internship, finding an on-campus job, all sorts of different opportunities there as well. And even after you've graduated from Hofstra, you can come back and work with them as well, and they'll continue to support you. So let's say 5 years down the line, you realize, you know what, I'm ready to work somewhere else or work for a different type of company. They'll work with you to rebuild your resume, to perfect your interview skills. If you have to go to a dinner for it, they'll teach you the correct way, which fork goes first, how the napkin should sit on your lap, how to refold it, how to make sure to note that you're done with your meal. So all sorts of different support pieces. So support in every sense of the word that you can think of support. We offer that to our students to really ensure that you're successful as you transition to Hofstra, through your time at Hofstra, and then even beyond the walls of Hofstra as well.
Awesome, awesome. So when I'm working with students, especially with the Common App, the students really dread the college essay. Especially now that a lot of students, rather a lot of schools have gone test optional. They've really focused a lot more on the personal statement. What do you look for in an admissions essay? Like, how important is the essay? Any tips for our ladies?
Sure. So the essay was always important. Before there was test optional, after there's test optional, if the school's test optional or not, the essay was always important. Your admissions counselor was always reading that essay because unfortunately, there's so many students, there's only so many counselors. We don't get to meet every single student and have a face-to-face interaction with them and answer all of their questions in person and get to know them and develop a relationship with them. If we don't have that opportunity to get to know you in that way, the only way I'm getting to know your personality and who you are is through that application. Now, I don't want to just look at your transcript and say, oh, this person is probably, they're smart, but what are they doing with their life? This and that. I don't know anything background about you personally. I only know the classes you took, what you were involved in. So on the Common App, that activity section, that's like my favorite section to look at because I get to learn everything about what you're doing outside of the classroom, which is a big part of college admissions as well. And then in the essay section, I get to know more about you and your personality. So the biggest thing that I would say in regards to the essay is making sure that you yourself, the student, is writing it. You can have help, you can have somebody edit it. Somebody should look over it again, maybe a different fresh pair of eyes at it, but make sure that you are writing that essay because that's how we're getting to know who you are. And if we're looking at other parts of your application and then the essay doesn't really match, we can tell that you maybe got a little bit extra help if you picking up what I'm putting down. So make sure that you're writing that essay. That's my biggest tip.
I think those are awesome tips, and I'm going to add on some additional ones as well. Here at Hofstra, we are really big on reading essays. It is one of our absolute favorite things. We take notes on them. We really read each and every line. And what I say to students all the time is be innovative, be creative, and be different. Make yourself stand out. We read, and I'm sure Pamela would agree with this, hundreds of thousands of them. To give you just a point, I've done this for 11 years. And my 11 years of doing this, I've probably read just shy of 20,000 college applications. So I've read every essay, topic, question, thought that you can probably think of at this point. Make yourself different, make yourself stand out. Tell us something about you that everything else doesn't maybe tell us, or maybe it does tell us, and that's why you're telling that story. So I always tell students, be mindful of that. This is a way to leave an impression on us. We may not meet you till after your application is reviewed. We may meet you before your application is reviewed. So what I always say is make yourself stand out. The other thing I always remind students, and Pam said it's so great, is make sure you are rereading it. About 15 minutes before I hopped on with all of you, was reading an outstanding application from a student, and their last line was they were so excited to tell me they wanted to go to Molloy. So Pam, we'll talk about that student later on, but I don't work at Molloy. So in their essay, they noted to me that that was where they were excited to go to college. And that's awesome. And Pam and her folks will definitely, hopefully admit that student. But what that told me and all the other colleges that student applied to is that that's where they want to go to college. So it is mindful to think about that when you're writing your essay. It's okay to mention a college's name if you are submitting it only to that college. If you're using the common application, it's going to go to every college you apply to. So I usually encourage students to refrain from including a college's name in their essay because it could get dicey and at times there could be a mistake. The other thing I also say is that it is great to sit down with a blank page and just let your ideas flow. It is okay to not know what you want to write about. Students stress all the time about what to write about. And I'll tell you a very, very quick story, and it's one of my favorite. I went to an essay writing workshop over this summer, and there was a student I was sitting with, and she had said to me she sat for upwards of a week and just couldn't formulate what she wanted to think about writing. So we were sitting, I was at actually a Twills High School, the Young Women's Leadership Academy. I'm sure maybe you've heard of them before. So her and I were sitting and having a conversation, and she said, I really can't think of anything. So what we ended up talking about was glasses. So I wear glasses. I'm an avid glasses wearer. I'm not wearing them right now because they reflect sometimes weird on my computer screen. But I wear fun colored ones. I wear ones that sometimes match the outfits I'm wearing. That's just who I am. So I had said to her, I was like, oh, I really like your glasses. Where are they from? So we ended up talking about glasses. That was fine. I walked away. I said, give it some thought. Let me know what you think if there's anything that can come up. After half an hour, she had a page and a half written. And what does she write about? Her glasses. So she's been wearing glasses since kindergarten. And as she transitioned as a human, as an individual, as a woman, her glasses transitioned as well. So her whole essay was about when she was in kindergarten, she had hot pink ones, and she was fun and she was bubbly and all those different pieces. She got a new set of glasses as she started around middle school. And the middle school piece, she felt a little bit more reserved. So she had clear glasses with clear lenses and clear frames. So it kind of was like she was hiding behind her glasses. And then as she transitioned into high school, she found someone that she connected with, a good friend of hers, and they ended up having the same glasses. And ironically, their friendship had separated, and around the same time, her glasses had broken. And she shared that that was like a break in their friendship. So the ones she wore now were a little bit more darker and professional, and it showcased that she was ready towards that next step in her livelihood of professionalism and her next steps towards college. So within 5 minutes of our conversation, she wrote an entire essay about how her life has transitioned, and as her life transitioned, her glasses transitioned. So you never know where you're going to pick up that piece of what you're going to find to write your college essay. And when she applied to us here at Hofstra, I smiled because I remembered us sitting and having that conversation about her essay, and it made such a difference in her life and who she was. And out of just a tiny conversation for 5 minutes, that's literally what it did. So be creative, be innovative, be different, and you'll find pieces like that.
Wow. All I can say is time flies when you're having fun. I cannot believe we are here and almost at the end of our time together, but all the nuggets that you've shared, Jessica, you did an amazing job with creating and curating the perfect questions. And we had the perfect panelists to be able to give us a real glimpse of this whole process that can be so confusing and so stressful. I am just so blown away by this experience in this panel, and we want more. So we're going to have to figure out a way to have more. So I will now pass the mic back over to Jessica, because Jessica's going to tell us about our call to action. What can our next steps be?
So I want to thank all our speakers. They brought such great advice. And I thought I'd provide you with a timeline of sorts with tips and suggestions as a school counselor for you to navigate the college planning process and work on goal setting, as Sly and Uncle Zelly suggested, to do everything you need to do to fall forward. So for 9th and 10th graders, use this time to build your academic transcript. Your grades matter. That's your academic profile. Work your hardest to keep your grades up. Use your teachers and your resources that you have available to your advantage. This is the time to explore various careers, skills needed to be successful in the fields that you're looking at. Visit colleges if you can. If not, there's plenty of virtual tours available. Start to ask questions to yourself about what you want in your future. What are you good at? What makes you happy? What moves you? And as you explore and you research different careers, imagine yourself in these positions. Speak to your school counselor about enrichment programs to help you boost your candidacy for certain schools, to expose you to amazing opportunities such as internships, community service, mentor relationships, and summer experiences. For our 11th grade ladies, schedule time to speak with your school counselor one-on-one to discuss your options. This is the time when you're tasked to put together your research and build a balanced, strong match list of post-secondary options. So this is when you are connecting your sense of identity and purpose, and you're creating a personalized list of post-secondary programs that are a match for your desired pathway of career interests, affordability, and a sense of belongingness. And when I say strong match, I mean a match for your academic profile, what your family could afford, and special programs and supports that a campus could provide. Continue to discuss with your family about college, and know that the income that your family earns or receives 2 years prior to attending your first year of college will count for financial aid applications and opportunity programs. So for example, if you're a junior graduating in June 2023, the income your parents made in 2021 will be used. So speak to your counselor about which income documents you'll need to be best prepared for the application process. And don't forget, spend time in that personal statement or college essay because it's going to weigh heavily on your application. And our seniors, this is when you are going to put your list into action. This is when you're applying to colleges on your list and you're filing financial aid applications. And don't forget about applying for scholarships. I highly recommend that you create an Excel spreadsheet to organize yourself and keep on top of the many deadlines that you'll have. Check your email often, as this is your college's primary mode of communication. And for those seniors that have already applied this past fall, you'll be hearing back from your colleges now all the way into March. Reach out to your counselor to help you compare financial aid awards, weigh the pros and cons of all the schools that you're accepted to, because May 1st is your decision day. And keep your momentum going as you celebrate this new chapter in your life by making sure that you complete all of your enrollment steps. Ladies, college is about defying expectations, breaking the mold, finding yourself. And in short, this is the most valuable investment you can make in your future, both financially and personally. So plan accordingly, keep an open mind, take risks, and always work for anything that's worth it. Thank you.
Words cannot express the gratitude that I have for everyone that said yes when we made the call. Sly, I know it was last night at 6 a.m. this morning when you got the call, but you answered. Jessica, it was a friend who made the recommendation and you answered. Bryan, Victoria passed the baton, you took it and you ran with it. And Pamela, you have been steadily standing in the gap and providing information. I say thank you. This would not be possible without you. And this will go on to be able to impact so many young women. And I am just happy to know that you're now officially a part of the Today's Girl, Tomorrow's Woman family. So thank you again. Just a quick reminder that we have our annual conference happening on Saturday, March 19th, 2022, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. It will be virtual again this year, but this is our 9th year. And so we got our fingers crossed. We're putting plans into place for our 10th conference to be in person, back in person, making it happen. So if you have anyone in your network, please share this information with them. Remember, this year's conference, our theme is Back in Touch, Discovering What Really Matters. This has really set the tone for this year for us. And so we're going to continue to provide in-depth information and lots of resources. Be on the lookout for an email that will follow this presentation that will have all of the resources, the chat information, as well as all of the great next steps that Jessica has provided for us. Once again, I say thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.